Hello students, hope you all are fit and fine. Up to our last class, we have learned what is nutrition in human, what are the different parts of digestive system of human, and we have studied in detail the buccal cavity, and inside buccal cavity we have studied what are the different types of teeth in our mouth and the tongue, different parts of tongue and their function. So let us give a quick revision of what we have studied so far in the last class. In the last class we have studied that in human digestive tract or alimentary canal there are six parts: the buccal cavity, the esophagus, the stomach, small intestine, then large intestine, and it ends with anus. Inside buccal cavity we know it is consisting of teeth and our tongue. So we have four types of teeth in our mouth. We all know we have total 32 teeth, and in two gums, okay, in one gum we have four incisors. Incisors are meant for cutting of food. Then canines for tearing of food, two canine in each gum. Then premolar, after canine there will be two and two in each side of one gum, premolar. And then three and three in two side, there is in one gum six molars. And this premolar and molar is for your grinding, that is breaking of food. Okay, these are the different types of teeth in our mouth. We have four types of teeth we have learned in the last class. Then we have tongue. In our tongue we have different sensitivity regions which are used for sensing or tasting different parts of food, different taste of food. And what are the other function of tongue we have learned. Okay, then there are salivary glands in our mouth. So what are they do? They secrete the enzyme known as salivary amylase enzyme. So this enzyme helps in the breaking of starch. Okay, this enzyme helps in the breaking of starch. So up to this much we've learned in the last class. So today we'll cover the remaining part of human digestive tract or the alimentary canal. Okay, so the next part is esophagus. Okay, that is esophagus is also known as food pipe. That is, whenever we eat any food from the mouth, it will go to our stomach. This region is our stomach. Okay, stomach is this, but this is your belly. Okay, it will move from here to stomach, from mouth to stomach. So from the pipe it will move. It is known as the food pipe. We all know there is a pipe from which the food moves. So this pipe is known as the food pipe, and this food pipe in scientific language is known as esophagus. Okay, so what is the pharynx and esophagus? What are their function? The chewed food is pushed into a long and narrow muscular tube called food pipe or esophagus through another short muscular tube called the pharynx. Okay, so what it is saying that in our mouth, whenever we take food, it is chewed by the help of our teeth, and our tongue helps in mixing it with the saliva. After this chewing process in our mouth, what will happen? Our tongue and the pharynx will push the food through the food pipe into the stomach. So it is a pipe from which the chewed food travels from mouth to the stomach. Okay, this pipe is long and narrow. Long means the height will be long and the size will be narrow. Okay, when the slightly digested food enters the food pipe, the wall of the esophagus starts contracting and expanding to push the food down into the stomach. The pushing down of food by the wall of the esophagus wave-like manner is called peristalsis. Okay, peristalsis. Okay, peristaltic movement. Okay, digestion of food does not take place in the esophagus. So what is saying? How the movement of food takes place in the esophagus? So it takes place by a special type of movement known as peristalsis. Okay, peristaltic movement or peristalsis. The process is known as peristalsis. Okay, so what happens is movement. For example, let us consider this as your normal food pipe, that is esophagus, from your mouth to the stomach. This is a normal case. You are eating something. Okay, whenever you will eat something, your this food pipe will move in such a way that it will contract means, for example, this is the pipe, so it will become like this. So if this portion is contracting, it is coming together, so what will happen, it will push the food to move this way because this is more open side. Similarly, see here, the food is here, so pipe here is coming together, that means it will come together, and this part will make free space, so the food will come down. When the food is here, what will happen, the muscle earlier it was contracted here, now the muscle will get contracted over here, so it will push the food to move downward. Okay, this movement is known as peristalsis. Okay, but in this process we have seen that the food is just traveling from mouth to the stomach, so no digestion is taking place over here. It is in this process just the food is traveling from the mouth to the stomach, no digestion is taking place. Okay, how this is traveling? By the movement known as, or the process known as peristalsis. That is the movement of food by the contraction and relax of muscle. Then the food reaches the stomach. From the food pipe the food will reach to the stomach. So what will happen in the stomach? Now from the stomach it will start digesting food a little bit. Okay, slowly. From esophagus the food goes into the stomach. Okay, it is clear. The food will now travel to the stomach. How stomach looks like? The stomach is a J-shaped thick walled organ on the left side of the abdomen. The stomach is a J shape, that means the stomach will look like this. Okay, it will be like a little bit like J shape. Okay, J shaped. J is like this, so you can consider it like J shaped. Okay, it is a J shaped. And which side of your body it will be there? It will be on the left side of the abdomen. Okay, left side of the abdomen. It is the widest part of the alimentary canal. So in our alimentary canal, remember two differences. The widest part is known as the stomach, and the longest part is known as our small intestine. Okay, remember these two things. Widest means the wide thing in our alimentary canal is our stomach, and longer is the small intestine. Remember this difference. The inner wall of the stomach contains gastric glands. So you all know people suffer from gastric. People say gastric. So this gastric is due to the misfunctioning or dysfunctioning of this gastric gland. So where it is located, this gastric gland? In the inner wall of the stomach, this gastric gland is there. Okay, in the inner wall of the stomach, this gastric gland is there. I will try to show you. For example, this is our stomach. Okay, so somewhere near it will be the gastric glands will be present over here. Okay, next, these glands, what these gastric glands do? These glands secretes gastric and digestive juice that contain three substances. So these gastric glands, what they do? They secrete some digestive juice, the chemicals or the juice which will help in the process of digestion of food. So what are the different substances it releases? It releases three substances. First is hydrochloric acid, there is a acid, then mucus and pepsin. Okay, now we'll learn the function of all in detail. The first is hydrochloric acid. Okay, what this acid do? Hydrochloric acid kill many harmful bacteria that enter with the food. Whenever we eat any food, everything in the environment is living in association with microorganisms, bacteria, fungus, everything. Okay, so whenever you eat food, the food may be contaminated, or food may have some, that is the food may have some bacteria. So what this acid, hydrochloric acid, HCl will do? Hydrochloric acid means HCl. This HCl will do, it will first kill all the harmful bacteria that enter with the food. If any bacteria enter along with your food, it will kill all the bacteria. It provides an acidic medium in the stomach and helps the digestive juice to act. And yes, this is an acid, so whenever you will mix an acid with the food, what will happen? The food will become acidic, the stomach will become acidic. So the other substances such as the pepsin works when the food or the environment is acidic. So for functioning of pepsin, what will it will do? it will make the entire stomach acidic medium. Okay, and whenever this will become acidic stomach, then only your pepsin can work. You will learn it later on. Okay, then the mucus. What is the mucus do? The mucus protects the inner lining of the stomach from the action of the enzyme and acid. So here we are saying that the gastric gland is giving some acid named as hydrochloric acid, and this acid is killing bacteria. This means this acid has some power of killing. So we can say that, okay, as this acid is killing the bacteria, this may also kill our body muscle, stomach. So why it is not killing? Because of this mucus. The mucus will protect the stomach from this acid. Okay, mucus will protect itself. This mucus will say, cover the your stomach, and it will say, okay, the stomach is myself, okay, don't kill me, you can kill the bacteria. In this way the mucus will protect the stomach from this acid. So the acid will not harm the stomach, it will harm only the bacteria. Okay, then comes the third one, that is the pepsin. So as I told, pepsin works only when the medium is acidic. So who will make the medium acidic? When this acid, hydrochloric acid, will mix with the food, it will make the medium acidic, and in this medium, there is the acidic medium only, the pepsin digests the proteins. P for pepsin, P for protein. Remember, P for pepsin, P for protein. Pepsin has a digestion of protein, okay, into the food to form simple soluble substance called peptones. So remember 3P. The first is protein. Protein is digested by pepsin, and it converts the protein into peptones. These three terms. Okay, protein is the complex one. Pepsin is the enzyme which acts in acidic medium, and it converts the protein into simple soluble substances known as the peptones. Consequently, the food gets converted into a partial digest. So in this step, what happens? So far in the mouth we have no, the starch is converted into simple form with the help of amylase enzyme. Now this pepsin enzyme is converted in the stomach, is converting protein into simple form, that is peptones. So the food is a little bit digested, right? So you can say that the food gets converted into partially digest, not fully complete. The digestion is not completed, but some part is completed. So we can say that it is partially digested. Then there is semi-solid food called chyme, and in this partially digested state, it is known as chyme. CHYM is chyme. Okay, the chyme leaves the stomach and enter the small intestine. So up to this much the function of small stomach is over. So the food will now travel from stomach to the small intestine. Okay, the fourth part is the small intestine. So now it will travel to the small intestine. So what will happen in the small intestine? The small intestine is the main part of the our alimentary canal, where the digestion is mainly occurs. Okay, where digestion mainly occurs, main part. So as I told in the last slide, there is the stomach is the widest part of our alimentary canal, and small intestine is the longest part. So it is saying that the small intestine is the longest part of the alimentary canal. How long? It is about 7.5 meter long and arranged in the form of coil. So 7.5 meters, almost like it is long like a bus. Okay, it is long like a big bus gari. Okay, so how it will it is arranged in our body? It is arranged like for example, this is the long coil, long tube. It is arranged like this coil in our body. Okay, so in this part it is arranged like here, not a straight pipe. It is arranged in the form of a coil. The small intestine receives secretion from two glands, liver and pancreas, through a common duct. The wall of the small intestine also secretes digestive juices called intestinal juices. Okay, intestinal juice. Okay, so in the last stomach, we have learned that stomach gets juice, that is the enzymes or the other digestive juice, from gastric glands. Now from where the juice small intestine receive, they have three common sources. The first is liver. We all hear the term liver and pancreas. Liver and pancreas. And apart from these two, there is another thing, that is the inside the inner side of the wall of the small intestine. For example, if this is the small intestine, in this inner side there will be some gland which will secrete intestinal juices. Okay, so we'll learn the function of these three in detail also. Here the partially digested food gets mixed with the pancreatic juice, bile juice and intestinal juice. This process of digestion completes the small intestine. Okay, so what happens here, the food comes from stomach to the small intestine. It will get mixed with the pancreatic juice and bile juice, it is a juice coming from your liver. Then intestinal juice, these three juices will get mixed with the food and the digestion process will get completed in this step. Okay, after this the division, distribution, the utilization process is there, but the digestion is complete in this step. Okay, so here in small intestine your digestion is being completed. So what is the function of liver and the different juices we get from liver? The liver is a reddish brown gland situated in the upper part of the abdomen on the right side. See, this is your, don't look just this is left or right. Okay, this is your right and this is your left, because whenever you are reading it you can assume yourself. Okay, yes, this is an image, so this is showing you the mirror opposite. Whenever you stand in front of a mirror, you are looking at the opposite thing. Similar this image, you consider yourself in the right side of the abdomen. The liver is there. Where it is situated? Above the stomach. See, this is stomach. Above stomach it is your liver. It is color is reddish brown gland situated upper part of the abdomen on the right side. It is the largest gland in the body. So it is the largest gland. There are different glands, so among the all glands it is the largest gland in the body. What it secretes? It secretes bile juice that is stored into the sac called gallbladder. Now you have also heard the term gallbladder operation. So what is gallbladder? It is a part which is situated in the near the liver. Okay, in this gallbladder what they do, they secretes the bile juice. Okay, inside liver you have a gallbladder, and this gallbladder secretes bile juice which helps in the process of digestion, located near the liver. Okay, bile juice helps in the digestion of fats. So what this juice do? This juice help in the digestion of fats. Earlier we have learned in mouth the amylase enzyme helps in the digestion of carb starch. So starch over, then protein, this pepsin in the stomach over. Now in small intestine what happens? Your bile juice digests the fat. So fat is also over. Fats are present in big droplets in the food, because of which they cannot be digested easily. Bile juice breaks these droplets of fat into small droplets and make their digestion and absorption easier. So as you all know, fats are present as big droplets in the food, so we need to break this into small. So who will help in this process? The bile juice will help in this process of breaking the fats into smaller components. Okay, then after liver we have pancreas. So what this pancreas do? This pancreas is a large cream color gland located just below the stomach. It is a cream color gland located just below. It is located over here. Okay, just below the stomach. Below the stomach pancreas is there. Okay, it secretes pancreatic juice and releases it in the intestine. Okay, what it do? It secretes pancreatic juice. Pancreas secretes pancreatic juice and releases it into the intestine. The pancreatic juice acts on the carbohydrates and proteins and changes in them into simpler forms. So what this will do? This will act on carbohydrate and protein and convert them into more simpler. Okay, there is, what is the process of, what is the ultimate goal of digestion? The conversion of complex food into simple food. So what this will do? This pancreatic juice will convert the carbohydrate and protein into more simpler forms. Okay, then intestinal juice. What is this intestinal juice will do? They partially digest food. Now reaches the lower part of the small intestine. The process of digestion that starts from the mouth is complete in the small intestine. The enzyme is in the intestinal juice act upon the partial digestion of food and convert into simply soluble substance. So the process which have started in the mouth, the digestion process, is now at the end of the completion step, and the last step is in this digestion process is your intestinal juice. it will act in the last part. It is present in the last part of the small intestine, and it will change the remaining complex thing into the final simpler things. Okay, how it will do, we learn. First, it will break the carbohydrate into glucose with the help of intestinal juice. First thing, it will, there is carbohydrate is already partially digested by others also, like pancreatic juice. Okay, and starch is also having carbohydrates, so starch is also digested in the mouth by salivary amylase. So whatever complex thing is there, it will convert, it will find it into glucose. It's a final touch up it is giving. Okay, then fats, it will convert small droplets of fats, it will convert into fatty acid and glycerol. Small droplet is converted by our gallbladder, converted fat into small droplets, and these small droplets are again converted by this into fatty acid. Okay, and glycerol. Then proteins, partially digested. Protein is also digested by different part, stomach and in your pancreas also digesting protein. It will finally give the touch up and convert this protein into small amino acid. Okay, there is no need of mineral and vitamin present in the food to be broken down into simple. Okay, what it is saying that we have learned so far, and we have learned about digestion of carbohydrate, proteins, fats. Okay, and starch, there is carbohydrate also, but we have not learned the digestion of our vitamins and minerals, because this doesn't need any digestion. Our body can take these vitamins and minerals in the original form, it is present in the food. Okay, so far we have discussed the digestion process. Now the utilization. After digestion, the food needs to be utilized. So how it is utilized, then the remaining 4 steps we will learn this part. Okay, you all need to draw this diagram, and you need to practice it several times, because in exam, you only by writing the answer, it will not give you allow you to get good marks. Okay, you need to draw the diagram along with your answer, so practice this diagram. The next is the digestion process over, so your body needs to absorb it. So how it will happen, the process of absorption also occurs in the small intestine. The inner wall, for example, mm, if this is your small intestine, consider this inner wall will have small finger, this looks like finger. Okay, finger like projections, and these are known as your villi. The name of these finger like projections are known as villi. So what this villi do, these villis are connected to several blood vessels. Okay, several blood vessels, and this will work as capillary. So what is capillary? For example, in a in a cup, if you give some water, and if you put a straw into it, what will happen? Some water will move through the straw up to some part above water. You have seen this phenomenon. So this phenomenon is known as capillary. So here also the same phenomenon is working. These tubes will work as capillary tubes. Okay, and capillary movement will be there. Okay, movement will be there. Forget about this, just focus on this, that in the process of digestion, what will happen, the inner wall of small intestine have some finger like projections, these are known as villis, and these villis are connected with several tiny blood vessels. And what they will do, they will just take the food. These villis will help in the transfer or the absorption of food from the small intestine, and they will give it to the blood vessel. Okay, then assimilation of food. So now the food is given to the blood vessel. Now we all know who will distribute the food, as the blood vessel is taking the food, so blood vessel will distribute. So we learn it how blood carries the absorbed digested food from the small intestine, we know, to different organs of the body. The blood will carry the food from the small intestine to the different part of the body. The digested food is used to build complex substances such as proteins required for growth and repair of body tissue. So where this food will be used? It will be used in the building of proteins. Where we need protein for our growth and repair of our body tissue. This is the final stage of the process of digestion, is known as assimilation. Okay, so this is the final step of this process of digestion, and this is known as assimilation. Assimilation means nothing but the distribution of food into different part. Okay, then in cells, glucose breaks down with the help of oxygen to carbon dioxide or water. Okay, in cells, what will happen? the blood will take the blood cell will take the glucose to different cell, and in cell what will happen, with the help of oxygen, when you will breathe, it will be broken down into carbon dioxide and water. The energy is released. Okay, this energy will be used for body. Amino acids are used for building and repairing of the body parts such as worn out cells and tissue. Fatty acids and glycerols are energy rivers and stored with under skin and further use. So these are the different uses of different parts of food. This is how glucose is used. Okay, then how fatty acid, amino acids are used. You need to read all these. Okay, we'll come back later on. Then the last is digestion of undigested food. So you all know, whatever food we eat, our body cannot digest the whole part. Some part is digested and some is some we excrete through our faces. Okay, there is the stool with the hair. In the process of stool and urine we leave some food. The food that remains undigested and unabsorbed passes from the small intestine to the large intestine. So the food which is undigested, it will pass to the large intestine. Large intestine is the wider and the shorter than the small intestine. Okay, it is about how much long? 1.5 meters in large. Okay, in length. Large intestine has two part. One is colon, that is upper part, and the rectum, that is the lower part. Colon absorb water and some salts from the undigested food. So from the undigested food, what will happen? Colon will absorb some water and salts. Okay, before throwing it out from the body, it will absorb some water and salts. Due to this, if you absorb water and salt, what will happen? The undigested food becomes dry and almost semi-solid. It will become dry if you will take all water. So it will becomes dry and semi-solid. This is known as feces and is stored in the rectum. So ultimate feces means stool. It is waste food. It is stored in the rectum, and ultimately in the process of toilet or the stool, what we do, we remove this from our body through the anus. This process is called as egestion. So the process of throwing out the undigested food from the body is known as egestion. In egestion, there is two steps in the larger intestine. There is the first is colon, which is the upper part, and rectum. Colon will absorb the water and salt, then the remaining part will become solid or dry. Then this will remove through the process of stool. Okay, and it will the removal will done by the anus, through the anus. Okay, now let us learn one interesting fact, that we all have heard the disease diarrhea. What is diarrhea? It is an infection, food poisoning, or indigestion results. Diarrhea is an infection of intestine and involves passage of watery stool very frequently. So what happens in diarrhea? Diarrhea is nothing but the infection of intestine. When our intestine gets infected, in what it will result? It will result in the passing of watery stool very frequently. In case of diarrhea, we know this leads to the loss of water and useful salts from the body and can cause dehydration. So in diarrhea, you will repeatedly go to toilet, and what will happen? You will leave water stool. That means you are losing water and useful salts, and ultimately losing of water means dehydration. You will have less water in your body. Then it can be fatal under severe condition. You can die also in case of diarrhea if it is in extreme condition. Okay, it can be avoided by giving the patient plenty of boiled and cooled water with sugar, okay, and a pinch of salt dissolved in it. That is, whenever people are facing diarrhea, what they do, they eat boiled water with sugar and salt, or the cold water with sugar and salt, or they go to the shop and buy an ORS, and they just mix it with water and they just drink it. So in case whenever you face diarrhea, remember this is just an infection of your stomach. So you need to drink ORS or water which mixed with salt and sugar. Okay, this is for today. You can ask your doubts now, and the remaining part will cover in the next day, and I'll upload your homework in the group. Thank you.